What's up, everybody? It's Hank John. That's me. Bowfin Country. This is a video that I wanted to make last year. Things happened. It's been on my mind because I was sitting on the footage from 2023 and just replaying a lot of the memories in my mind. Especially this year when I've had a little more time. I'm doing a little less tournament fishing than in recent years. So yeah, what is it? The video itself is a chapter by chapter recap of my 2023 kayak fishing season, tournament season with Central Carolina Kayak Fishing, CCKF. That's the major trail series in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Pittsburgh, Sanford, all the way up to Hyco and across the Mackintosh trail series. So it's my local club here in the RDU area. Fishes mostly RDU lakes, a few east, a few west of here. But yeah, that's our club. It's a young club, about 5 years old now. And last season I was its champion. I won Angler of the Year. And I did it in a kind of a crazy way. I was like undisputed points leader, looked like I was going to run away with it. And then I fell behind. Will Lambert, one of the best kayak anglers, a younger guy than me, blew past me with a strong series of events, and then I had to make a comeback and we went back and forth. It was like a heavyweight fight, and I won a few rounds, he won a few rounds, and in the end I barely squeaked past him on the judges' scorecards. Man, it was a tight race. It was about as close as they come. He has not stopped fishing hard. I did. I took a little time off because I just needed a break. But he has been on a tear, so I went head to head with one of the best, toe to toe, mano y mano, as they say, and neither one of us said no mas. Really what it was a great contrast between two different fishing styles. Will is a great deep water angler. He fishes really well with electronics, whereas I'm a shallow water angler. I fish moving water, and I like to pedal and paddle. So yeah, two totally different styles. We were matched very evenly in that regard because we're both very good at our respective approaches to kayak fishing. And yeah, I managed to win by the closest of margins. So what you'll see here is a chapter by chapter account of the season. What you'll see is like video footage from each event of me catching my fish, starting with the first event through the last one. I did not save the footage from two events because I really didn't catch any fish, so I had deleted it, and not thinking that I was going to be making a video like this. So kind of wish that I had some of that footage, but it's long gone. That's a shame. What you'll see in this footage, and some of it I've already put out there last season, but what you'll see is just me sweating out and grinding out bites over the course of a, let's see, 7 months roughly, from March through September, and then a little bit from the award ceremony in October. So an amazing season. Let me just say this before we cut to the actual footage. Thank you to Mitch Lassiter for running a great club. Thank you to all of his sponsors. Thank you to my sponsors, Jackson Kayak, Catch Products USA, Get Outdoors, and Yak Rods. That stuff, those products that they provide to me, the support is invaluable. I don't have a lot of sponsors, so the ones that I do have, I really care about deeply. So thank you to them. Thank you also to all the other competitors who made the season so much fun in 2023. You know, the guys in CCKF, I'm not going to sit here and run down the whole list of names. There's a lot of people who fish that club. You know who you are. So thank you to the other CCKF guys who have just been such a generous and welcoming and fun club to fish with. I do appreciate it. So enjoy this recap. It's going to start with the first event at Falls Lake, and I'll set that up briefly right here in a moment. All right, thanks everybody. Enjoy. Hit that subscribe button. This is the first event. It was Falls Lake. It was mid-March 2023. I had not planned to fish the event at all. I did not pre-fish. I did not do anything. I had actually planned to be in Alabama at a tournament that week, and I didn't go. So I ended up making a gut call and saying, all right, let me go fish at Falls Lake with CCKF as this and kick off the season with those guys. So I did. I remember rolling out of bed. It was a little chilly and thinking, okay, here goes nothing. I should say that in my previous 5 tournaments at Falls dating back to 2021, I've been fishing pretty well at a lake that had not been kind to me in previous years, for the most part. So in 2021, I had 2 top 10 finishes there, one with CKA and a second place with CCKF. In 2022, I had an 8th place finish and a 1st place finish at Falls Lake, both with CCKF. They fished the lake twice that year in 2022, and then also the Tournament of Champions drew for Falls. That event I did not do well, so 4 out of 5 I had top 10s there. So I was feeling pretty good. Early season though, it was still on the cool side, but we had some rain, and up where I fish on the north end of the lake, I knew that that would help bring up some bites and some pre-spawn fish, and it did. This event was really interesting because I paddled only. I brought my paddle boat. At the time it was a Jackson Cruise, a boat that for a while Jackson Kayak did not make any longer. Now they brought it back as a pedal drive model. My particular Jackson Cruise was a paddle only boat. I don't have it any longer, but I love the boat. It was a great one for just like skinny water fishing, light boat, about 60 pounds. So I threw that on my car and I just took off and went. This video shows you most of my limit fish. As you can see, late in the day the sun came out, and I managed 2 very important culls later in the day. I set that up with some intertitles so you can see those. However, there's one bite that did not get captured on video. I don't know why. It was my anchor fish for the day. I got a picture of it in there. It was a 20-something fish. It was my best fish of the tournament, and it was also historically for me an important fish because it was the fish that put me over 10,000 total inches on Tourney X. That was a landmark I had been hoping for a while, and I finally achieved it. So I crossed that threshold with that fish. It was really nice. So a really interesting day, a classic spring day where it's like early and overcast and cool, and then later in the day it warms up, the sun comes out, and that actually brought in some good bites. So enjoy this video. I do have to say that a few people weren't at this tournament. So Joey Sullivan probably would have fished the event. He was at the Bassmaster Kayak event. and for some reason Will Lambert, who played a big role in the 2023 season, skipped this event. I don't know why. I'm grateful for that, because if he had fished it, he probably would have done well, and then it might have been a different season in those last 7 events. But I took the win home. Rick Morris got second. Yeah, it was a good day. So that's how my season started. Enjoy the video. 7:15, CCKF, Falls Lake. I'll leave this on for a little bit. Have it company up here, but you never know. Over here, largie. That's the largie. I got you. You're a decent fish too. Thank you. That's good to see. Put 3 15s in this area. So yeah, as well see if there's anyone else around. 115 over there, first thing, and then 2 off of those trees. You know what? I need to get upstream. Good one. Come on, fish. That's a good one here. Oh, that's a fish. Oh. Uh-oh. Game changer. Nope. Oh, found a couple up here. That's good. Current was the game changer. Make sure you aren't longer than 14 inches. Well, you might count for my 20 for 20. I'm gonna try and catch it.
champion. Oh. Oh. Oh my. Here's the big one I said was here. I knew it. I knew it, man. Huge, but you're a 16, and that's a 1-inch upgrade.
Really, dude?
Please get stuck.
All right, what's up? 2023 CCKF Angler of the Year season recap, and that's what it looks like when a truck drives through your fishing spot. To say that this tournament started out badly would be like the understatement of the fishing decade. I wasn't even fishing for like the first 2 hours. I was making random casts and talking to friends I hadn't seen in a while, and just, yeah, there's another long version of this day on my page. You can look it up, where you can just see, but it also breaks down a really important moment where I came to a fork in the creek. So what happened was that after I left that area where the truck was, I only caught one fish there. It was mid-morning. I fished my way back down, and the sun had come out a little bit, and I noticed that the water flowing out of the other creek was much darker and clearer. Oh, so I went up that way. I ran into my friend Marcus, who was fishing the event. We fished side by side going up the creek for a bit. He stopped, I kept going, and boom, I found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It was, for about 90 minutes, I had the best big bass bite that I think I've ever had in a tournament. Yeah, it was. So, you know, if I were to rank this particular tournament performance, it's definitely like top 5 for me all time. So here's what happened. I got up into the creek, and I saw like a fish move like past a tree. You'll see it here in a minute. And I was like, huh, there's something over there. Let me go see what it is. Turned out to be a white perch. Next cast, or a few casts later, boom, I hook into a big bass. And then it was just one after another after that for the next 90 minutes or so, where I was just whooping it up and having a great time and really enjoying myself, as you can tell by me hollering and all this. I had to be mindful. I'm constantly looking around. There's overhanging branches. There's a lot of current. I got caught up in the branches a few times, wasted some time doing that. But in the end, I caught over 102 inches for my limit. My best 5-fish limit I'd ever caught. Lake Mackintosh delivers in that regard. It's, in my opinion, the best big bass fishery in the state. And kayak fishing, it's amazing because of the rules and the way the lake is sectioned off for electric motors and paddlecraft. So really an amazing fishery, and I had an epic day. It delivered my second win, and going back to the previous season and not counting the Tournament of Champions, that was 4 first place wins in a row for me on 3 different lakes, Jordan Falls and Mackintosh. So I was on a pretty good run, to put it mildly, and I felt really confident as an angler. Man, that was going to end soon. So let's just enjoy these bites in this moment, because it capped an amazing run for me, and this was such a fun day to catch bass in the last quarter of competition at this tournament. So enjoy the footage.
I'm running out of options here. I need to fish through. I'm not even going to retie with this broken guide here. If I could do something with it, I don't know. At this point, I need all the help I can get. I only got 1 fish. It's almost midday. The bite I'm hearing is slowed down. Mackintosh is doing me wrong. It's a big fish. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Another big fish. Oh my God. How did that happen? That was another 5-pounder. Oh my goodness, what is this? I am on 'em. You're not even the big one that just jumped, are you? Oh yeah, this is a good one. Another big one. Stay in there. Oh my God. Yeah. Ha 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 ha! Fish. Oh my God. Another big. What happened? Is it gone? Oh, it's gone. What's going on with these fish? Woo! Oh my goodness. Thank you, Jackson Kayak, for this beautiful drive. Let's do this, man. Let's put it away. All right. This is going to be the winning fish. This upgrade right here. Come on. Oh my. Oh, this is a really good one. I hold the fish. How does that even happen? Oh, I got two. Oh my God, there were two hooked up. And the bigger one stayed hooked. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, that almost cost me a whole bunch of grief. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, please be a 20. Please be a 20. Oh my, he might be a 20. Nope, doing a 20. You know what? You're a keeper.
What's up, everybody? So this particular chapter doesn't have much to it because I don't have the video from these two events. These were CCKF events number 3 and number 4 in the 2023 season. Event number 3 was at Sheeran Harris. It didn't line up well with my work schedule. I didn't pre-fish for this event, and I was fishing history. I got skunked, but I got skunked in a particularly frustrating way. I missed a bunch of bites. I was fishing above the Holloman's Bridge. I was kind of fishing history. I had fished there a few weeks before with CKA, and also didn't do well in that event. Missed a few bites, caught a few. I fished the same areas. The fish were still there, but they just kept like eating the bait, short striking it, doing stuff like, you know, running toward the boat, and I wouldn't get a good hook set, and they'd run past me, and by then, you know, they were spitting out the bait. It was a frustrating event. I remember it very clearly, and toward the end of it, I remember thinking, well, that's a drop for me. I'm going to be dropping this event, and I did. It was my first of 2 drops. So Sheeran Harris was tough. And when it was over, the angler who would emerge as my main rival had 2 top 5 finishes. I want to say they were both 5th place finishes, or a 5th and a 3rd. Anyway, Will Lambert did well at Mackintosh. He finished in the money, and then again at Sheeran Harris. So yeah, he was sneaking up on me. I had 2 wins and a drop. He had a drop and 2 top 5s. And then it got really ugly. The Tar River was the next event. It was my first time there. I pre-fished the lake. I found a pattern, and for me the important thing when I'm pre-fishing, it isn't just eliminating water. I want pre-fishing to point an arrow in the direction of where the fish might be on tournament day. So I look at it as anticipatory fishing. So when I was at Tar River, I found 2 separate bites. And because I wasn't too clear on whether one launch was legal, I launched down on the main lake at one of the common public ramps. I forget the name of it. And I went up to the islands, going toward 95. And there, the fish were there. They were there exactly as I hoped they would be, and as I had anticipated. But I couldn't put them in the boat. Again, I missed a lot of bites. What happened was that I hadn't fished a fluke in a while, and I was just bad hook sets, or I just wasn't letting them eat it enough, and I was fishing plastics, shaky head in that area as well, and these fish were short striking it. I don't know what they were doing. I couldn't quite figure it out. I had a couple of top water bites in that same area where they just blasted the lure. I remember one bite, the fish came up and just totally missed the bait. Like, you know those things where it's like they just go over the bait, like they just come right over it? The weirdest thing. So yeah, this was an early June event, and it was a bad one for me. I ended up with 2 fish. I left that primary area. I caught a fish on my way to my secondary spots, and by the time I got there, another angler who was more persistent than me in confirming whether that other ramp was legal came out, and he had a limit. So he had basically fished my spots that I wanted to fish, and I ended up going back to that first area. By then the bite had died, and I caught one more fish, and that was it. So I had my second drop of the season. In the meantime, Will Lambert, late in the day, found a big stack of fish and got his first win of the year. So very tough bite. Yeah, this was one of those moments where you start thinking, as an angler, you start thinking, well, I had my shot and now I blew it, because now the guy I'm fishing against has two wins. Oh no, he has one win and two top fives in 4 events and a drop, and I have 2 drops and 2 wins. So he's already ahead of me in points, and I can feel the season slipping away. Nonetheless, the next 3 events would change everything. So I went from I'm unbeatable, I'm the priest in Caddyshack who can't miss the hole even in a rainstorm, to the angler who doesn't just, it's my first time with a fishing rod on the water. You know that feeling if you've ever had a couple of bad tournament performances. And then I just buckled down and I somehow pulled the season out of the fire over the next 3 events, and we'll see how that goes. In a moment, the turnaround, or the turning point, even though it didn't feel like it, was the Raleigh Rumble. So next event is the Raleigh Rumble. At this point, I have 2 wins and 2 drops. I cannot afford a mistake for the remainder of the season. We're going into the second half of the season here. It's the back end. The last 4 events, 3 of which are during the hottest months, July and August. 2 July events and an August event. So I absolutely have to redeem myself here. I cannot afford to make a single mistake in these tournaments. I also need my primary competitor to make a mistake, and he did not at this tournament. So this tournament's unique. It's a multi-lake event. It's all the Raleigh area lakes. So it's Johnson, Wheeler, Lake Raleigh, Crabtree, and Beaver Dam. Small lakes, busy lakes, pressured lakes. And I went out there and I had to grind out some bites on a really hot day. I have a longer version of the video that you can see on my page. It's like a silent movie version with intertitles and all that. This is just the bites, and you'll see, man, they were few and far between. I got 3 early and then 2 late in the afternoon. It was so hot. What was it? It was so hot that I stripped down to nothing almost in the shade. But I made a cast that turned out to save my season. Right at the end of the day, I flipped a little crankbait near kind of a bend in the creek arm there, and as soon as that thing hit the water and I cranked down on it, boom, there was a fish on that lure. And that turned out to be my 5th and final keeper of the day. That little fish saved my season. So I always tell anglers, it's not the big fish that save your day. Sometimes it's the little ones. And this was one of those bites. That little, whatever, 11, 12-inch fish saved my season. So a really important fish, a really important bite at the end of the day. It gave me 8th place, that top 10 finish I needed. However, my competitor won the tournament. So Will Lambert got 1st place, his 2nd first place finish in a row. Yeah, so creek versus deep water, I'm starting to lose the battle, but I'm still alive, barely. that. Keep hope alive. What's up, everybody? This is event number 6 of the CCKF 2023 season. This tournament was held at Jordan Lake. The forecast for that day was really savage, and it made some anglers stay home for the event because it was going to be so hot. It was dangerously hot. It was one of those days where you start to have those like Abbott and Costello visions of you know, fish spitting water at you kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so Jordan Lake, though, it's my home lake. It's Bassmaster just ranked it number 3 in the Southeast this year, and it's a great fishery. It is not always an easy fishery. So when I've done well at Jordan Lake, I have done well on days where you have to grind out bites, and this was one of those days. I started out early, and I found a school of small bass. I picked up 3 keepers in a very short time frame, and then I couldn't find a bite. I do something that I have done before on this lake. I change ramps. I don't like doing that, but on Jordan I do it. You lose a little bit of time, but in terms of the chess game, I've learned that at Jordan Lake, once a spot or spots don't produce, they don't seem to reload the way they do at other lakes. So I went to a different area. It wasn't that far away, but I loaded out and relaunched at a different part of the lake. If you look closely at this tournament footage, you will see me using electronics. I'm not in particularly deep water, but I needed to use my sonar to figure out what was going on in that channel and that particular hole that I was fishing. So I am looking at the screen and making casts and trying to figure things out. A lot of people think, well, Hank is just, you know, he's junk fishing, he's instinct fishing, he's fishing skinny water, he's sight fishing. That's not always the case. In this tournament, the last couple hours I spent in this area, the second launch that I fished, I was fishing using my electronics. And once I figured out what was going on, I didn't need them that much, but I still had them running. So, slightly different look here. It paid off. I finished 4th, and my primary competitor, Will Lambert, had a bad day. I think he finished outside of the top 15. So he got the drop that I needed for him to have, and I climbed back, farther back into contention. Now, after this event, I had 2 first places, a 4th place, and an 8th place. So I was going against his 2 first places and I think 2 5th place finishes. So I was feeling pretty good. Wasn't cashing any chips yet, but I felt like with a river event coming up, I was going to be okay.
fish. It's a good fish too. This is the fish I was looking for. Gotta put you in the boat, fish. Cooking with Crisco. Got hooked in the mouth and on the side at the same time. See that? Mouth and face and plate. Oh, I hear more fish here. I have a feeling that you're not the only one. Got one. It's a good one. Get over here. Got another one. Yeah.
So, 6 down, 2 to go. This is the recap of my CCKF 2023 Angler of the Year season. As I said, I had 2 wins, so look at it in terms of 4 quarters of fishing. In the first 2 events, I had 2 wins. Then I had 2 very poor performances. And then I had an 8th place and a 4th place finish. So touchdowns in the first quarter, no points in the second quarter, came back in the second half, 8th place and a 4th place. So scored some points there. Let's say a field goal and a safety. So I'm back in the game. In the meantime, my primary rival, Will Lambert, is fishing hard, and he goes into the halftime with a strong lead and comes out of it with a poor start to the 3rd quarter. He comes out well in the 3rd quarter. He's got a win. I get an 8th place. However, at Jordan Lake in the 3rd quarter, I do much better. So now we're in the 4th quarter. Last 2 events, 7 and 8. Event number 7 is on the Cape Fear River. I pre-fished for this event, had some fun. I didn't identify a pattern. What I identified was I marked a series of areas that were holding fish. I marked, I believe, 6 spots in total. And that was a couple weeks before the event. But then I got hospitalized because I was fishing too much and not drinking enough water, and it turns out that I couldn't pre-fish right before the event. I got busy at work, things got crazy. I was trying to take care of myself. My schedule just got hectic. So I went into this event. Again, it was a very hot day in August of 2023. One of those days where you launch and you're just sweating as soon as you hit the water. It was just like you just started moving and you were already feeling the heat. I got to my first spot, no fish. Got to my second spot, there's an angler on it. Third spot, angler on it. uh-oh. So I keep going through my points. I'm traveling upstream on the Cape Fear River, and I get to the fourth spot, and I catch a fish. And I'm like, okay. But that's not great. It's 25%. 1 out of 4 spots have produced, and I've got 2 spots left. I go to the 5th spot, nothing. And I think an angler had already fished through there. I go to the 6th spot, and this was the spot I was really counting on, and I thought, there better be some fish here. Carp, bunch of carp. The water level had gone down in the river, and carp moved in where the bass were just 2 weeks before that. What to do now? I decide that I'm going to make a cannonball run. I'm going to pedal probably another 2 to 3 miles upstream and go to a spot that I had fished a few years before. I haven't pre-fished it, haven't set eyes on it, but there are some features in that area that I like, and I have caught fish there in the past. So I've got one fish. It's about 8:30 in the morning, and I'm looking at about an hour and a half pedal. So off I go. And I'm fishing and pedaling along the way, not catching anything, making casts while I'm working the Jackson Flex Drive. I feel good. It's still pretty early, but I can feel it. I'm drinking water like crazy, and I'm thinking I need to catch fish as soon as I get there. Thankfully I did. I lost a good fish as I was getting close to the area, and I thought, okay, that's a good sign. And then I got into them in pretty big numbers. Interesting point about this area, I was just at a CCKF event a couple weeks ago in April or in May, and I ran into Seth Hyco. He's a fisheries biologist with the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission, and I asked him about these fish, if they were Alabama bass, what were they, spots, whatever, and he told me that there was an experimental introduction of Kentucky strain spotted bass in the 1960s, and there was still this residual population up the river there, and that's what I caught that day. They were spotted bass. I caught a lot of them, and they were mostly small fish. Whenever I hooked a bigger one, they would jump and throw the lure. So yeah, didn't matter. I had a good day. I got 2nd place, and it was exactly what I needed. So in those 3 events, 5, 6, and 7, I went 8th place, 4th place, 2nd place. Crucially, Will Lambert also had a bad day on the Cape Fear River. Apparently he left early. He didn't feel well, so that was unfortunate. Nonetheless, I came out of this event in a much better position in the points race. Basically, with 1 event to go, I had a chance to win the Angler of the Year title. It came down to a nail biter. It was something else, and we'll talk about that next. However, in the meantime, enjoy this footage of me catching a mess of Kentucky spotted bass. All right, CCKF, Cape Fear River, CFR. What is it, August 26th? Yeah. I'm at the island at the first split. I'm just gonna stick to my plan.
Here we go. Oh yeah. Let's go. Oh, that was a good fish too. Quality fish right here in the boat.
What's that?
Lambert left early.
Well,
I don't know if he put in here or put in somewhere else, but he wasn't feeling well.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So yeah, I got the new seat. I guess my
Yeah.
seat's like not quite like yours.
Should be. It's 2023. It's like, well,
It doesn't have any kind of black seat base.
oh, I just bought that. I got it.
Oh, yeah, it just kind of, it goes right into the, it's got like gear tracks in the bottom.
The final chapter of this recap. Thank you for watching along. Hyco Lake was the place where everything would be decided in the CCKF 2023 Angler of the Year race. It's an interesting fishery on the north side, very close to the Virginia border of central North Carolina. Hyco, Hydrological Company, that's what it stands for. It's a power producing lake. It also has a powerful homeowners association that has very strict rules about lake access. There's only one access point, a public launch on the lake at mid-lake. So you launch on this lake in a kayak, you got a long way to go if you're going to go to either end of the lake. Even with a motor, it's a haul. a couple miles to either end. It's a deep lake in some areas. It's a clear lake. It's also a busy lake. And unlike the other fisheries that we fished all season, with the exception of some places on the Tar River Reservoir, this is a lake with a lot of docks, and a lot of docks on it. So a lot of houses along the lake. That means a lot of brush piles along the docks and things like that. It's an interesting lake. I have not had a lot of experience with it as a fishery, so I went up and pre-fished it in early September prior to this event, and I found some patterns. However, they didn't necessarily hold up for the event. They held up just enough. So here's what happened going into the event. A little cold front came through, but prior to that there had been a high heat and not a lot of rain, so the lake levels had dropped a little bit, and there was a cold front that came through with a tiny bit of rain. What that did was it pushed my bite out of range, so the fish that I was catching in practice just were not as plentiful. They weren't schooling as much, for example, and I wasn't catching them around docks the way I was in practice. So I had to really go deep into the creeks to find fish. It was also Canada goose season, so or the start of duck season, I forget which, and I had some hunters blocking one of my creeks early in the morning, and I give them right of way. They were there first. I got there late after a long pedal. So I was forced to kind of improvise and look for fish in areas that I hadn't necessarily looked for them in practice. Thankfully, I did find some fish. They weren't big fish. I lost a couple of good ones, as you'll see. Here's what it came down to. If I finished anywhere in the top 10, I was going to be Angler of the Year. If I finished outside of the top 10, I had to be sure that Will was within 10 spots of me. So if I finished 15th, he had to be lower than 5th. If I finished 20th, he had to be lower than 10th. If I finished 13th, you get it. I finished tied for 9th, and he finished 3rd. But due to big fish tiebreakers, I dropped to 11th, which means that I beat him in the points by 2 spots. The whole season, 8 tournaments that I fished came down to 2 spots in the standings. That's as close as you get in deciding a points race. Yeah, it was dramatic. The pedal back to the ramp was about an hour long for me, and it was about a year long for me because I couldn't see the standings. So I uploaded my fish and I was pedaling. I called Dee, I told her what had happened. After lines out, I was still about a half an hour from the ramp, maybe a little closer. I called Casey Reed. He was coming in. We were chatting, and I was just really stressed out because I had been here before. In 2021, I lost the CK Angler of the Year title by 6 points on the last day. In 2022, with CCKF, I think I got 4th place. I still had a chance on the last day. I fished it, didn't do well. So this really would have been devastating to lose an Angler of the Year race on the last day for the 3rd year in a row. I magically, it wasn't magic, it was hard work and a little bit of luck. Because even though my pattern changed, it didn't totally disappear. I was able to consistently catch fish at Hyco, but I had to adapt. It wasn't the top water bite that I found in practice. I was throwing crankbaits. I think I picked up a couple bites on a shaky head over the course of the day. I missed a good fish on the way back to the ramp during the last hour of fishing. But yeah, it was there for me to even do better and really seal it with a strong showing. I did okay, and it was just enough to bring me the Angler of the Year title. After that, as you'll see here, I went to the award ceremony after the TOC. Very thankful for how it worked out. You know, after 10, well, at that point, 12 years of tournament fishing in a kayak, to finally win an Angler of the Year title was a great relief. It felt like a great achievement. And I have to say, it's almost a year since that Raleigh Rumble, and it's still sinking in some ways. An Angler of the Year title is an achievement. Don't ever, no matter what club you fish in, don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. There are so many variables that can go your way and that can go against you over the course of a season. And in this season, I had a lot of both. So I'll never take this one for granted. It was as memorable a season as I can remember. Thanks again to all the CCKF anglers. Thanks again to Will Lambert for being just such a composed and persistent and great fisherman. It was an honor to go toe-to-toe with such an awesome competitor. Thanks again to all my sponsors, Jackson Kayak, Catch Products, Yak Rods, and Get Outdoors Paddles and Pedal. Thank you for watching. I'm going to turn this off here and just let the video play out. Enjoy it. Hopefully I'll have some more footage to post soon from this, the 2024 season. But yeah, thanks again, and have a great year, everybody. And good luck to everyone who's fishing for an Angler of the Year title. I know what it's like.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Our AOI people. So we already know we already know who our AOI anglers are. But I did want to do something a little different this year, have a good photo opportunity with them, kind of recognize them as a group and not just online. So I'd like to call up first Garrett for his third place finish.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm going to ask you not to cash this check for a couple of days. Like, don't take this one. Don't take this one. Alright, so Garrett gets $250 for his third place AOI finish.
Good job, buddy.
Second place, we had Will Lambert.
Yeah.
This check weighs about twice as much as the other check. He's got it doesn't weigh as much as the block. I expect to see pictures of people with these hanging on their walls. Yeah. So, as we're in our third season and we're getting a little bit more legit, I wanted to make sure that our first place was a little more legit this year. So, Hank and Will had a good competition the whole year, but Hank ended up taking it. It was actually pretty close there in the end. It could have gone either way that last tournament, but for Hank's efforts this year, Hank gets $1,000.